So a couple of months ago, I posted a video on here that talked about the very first season of Cobra Kai. And I feel like I covered all my bases in what I thought of season 1 of Cobra Kai. And at the very end of that video, I told you guys that I would be coming back to talk about what I thought of the entire series as a whole. And guess what? That specific video is here and now. And I'm ready to talk about what I think of Cobra Kai as a whole. So as much as I thought that the very first season solidified itself as like a very, lovable season, but also saw us, trying to get some sort of connection out of these characters, I feel like the show, as it went along, tried to correct those errors that I feel like the first season had, which needed to be done. And I feel like Johnny was one of those errors, even though that he is the protagonist here. Cobra Kai as a series revolves a whole lot more around Johnny than it does other characters. Now, obviously, Daniel LaRusso is the character that we all want to root for and not Johnny Lawrence. And I feel like as the show progressed season by season, we started to see other sides to Johnny Lawrence, down to the point where we start to see Johnny sort of accept Daniel's help and try to see Daniel LaRusso as an ally instead of an enemy. And I feel like that's where the show shined for me. When Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence were together, working together to become better as not only senseis, but also, in terms of becoming friends and trying to get to know each other and ultimately becoming really close, not only family-wise, but work-wise as well. And that really is where this show shines, is when those two characters are working together and pushing forward as characters who want to evolve and want to become more than they were their past selves. And that, to me, is where the heart of the show lies. And I still think what I said about the first season, about the cast that was on this show, still stands from the very beginning all the way till the end. Everybody in this show really does stand out, and they have their own moments. They're moments that really let them shine. And that, to me, shows that there was some level of direction here that was given to these actors to extract the best from them. Now, you're going to say, oh, but it's just a teen drama. Oh, but it lacks in so many ways and in areas that I wanted it to be more fulfilling. And that's true. To a certain extent, it is true that it is a teen drama, and it does lack in certain areas, whether it be, it feeling a little lopsided from time to time, or that, they're giving more attention to one story than the other, and the fact that sometimes the story drags on, because, trust me, I feel like this show had a lot of filler episodes that had a lot of information that in the end didn't feel as necessary as it does. Now, do they try to make up for it in the end? Yes. And that's where I'm getting to here. As much as all these storylines sort of converge toward the end, and they sort of iron out the broken pieces by the end, I feel like the stronger season of all the seasons, obviously we had strong seasons, like maybe I think it was season 4 was a pretty strong season. I do think that in the end, the final season is capable of tying the knot with the story. And I feel like ultimately the story of all these characters. So yeah, I think that the writing did do a disservice at times, but it did do the material that they are given the service it needs. If that makes sense to you guys. And something that I always talk about is cinematography, how something is shot, how well they are able to capture the moments on this show through the lens, through the camera. And I feel like season 5 was the last time that they were using a certain camera that I feel like watching through Netflix, you can see a lot of grain. Like, there are moments where they are shooting in darker areas that you can tell that it's a bit grainy. But after that, season 6 is clearly the best shot season. Like, that is the season where they started to take cinematography seriously. You know, seasons 1 through 5, it just feels like, I don't want to call it a soap opera, but at times it feels like a soap opera when you are watching the first 5 seasons. In the 6th season, that is when they're actually using a better camera. They're shooting the show in a better way. It's lit differently. It just looks a whole lot better than the other seasons does. So it shows that they were working extra in order to make those moments count. And they did a great job doing it. Now, something that I truly do love about this show, and I feel like, to me, every time something like this happened on the show, to me, it was just like almost euphoric. It's when we get to see characters that were in the film come back and revisit the characters on screen. So for me, like Tamlin Tamida, who actually played Kumiko in the second movie, that was a surprise in and of itself, okay? Just to see her on the show, even if it were for 2 episodes, wild. And then you got, you know, Yuji Okimoto, who obviously played Chosen, and the fact that we get to see him back here and play an even bigger role on the show, absolutely amazing. I mean, just to see him back here, oh man, it was like, it was playing to my nostalgic heart when I saw those things happen. And that played out through the entirety of, like, from season 2 all the way to season 6, with all these different pop-ups. And I'm gonna list as many as I can in this video. And that's including Thomasine Griffith, who obviously played Silver and played a big role in the show as a whole, you know, in later seasons. Then we got Robin Lively, who popped up for like an episode, which was really cool, just to see her like pop up and see her. And if you don't remember her, she's actually Daniel's love interest in the 3rd film, so seeing her was really cool. Then we got Elizabeth Shue, who is already an icon as is, but to see her return now was just like awesome, like really awesome, because I mean, she was in the first film. She was Daniel's first love interest, and to see her come back into the show was just so cool. So cool. And obviously, we can't forget Sean Cannon, who plays obviously Mike Barnes, who is this like undefeated machine. At least that's how they set him up in the 3rd film. But he's this like really like big bad guy, and obviously in this show he ends up having like his own furniture store, and like to see him pop up again is really cool as well. So those are like the notable names. And then obviously seeing Johnny's crew show up in this show from, you know, the original film, and seeing them back here again is so cool. So cool to see them back. I mean, honestly, they did wonders with this show, bringing back these original actors that were there, that really just tugs on your heartstrings. Now, something I do complain about sometimes is when a movie or a show is not capable of ending its story. Like, it just leaves the story either too open-ended or way too wide open that you're just like, really? You're just gonna leave it at an ambiguous ending? I just don't like ambiguous endings. And luckily for this show, it's not the case. I think that they were able to tie up Johnny's story beautifully. You know, giving him a redemption arc, writing a way in which he has to fight the final battle. He has to fight the final, you know, boss, per se. And giving him that sort of like cooperative nature in the end, alongside Danny LaRusso, is great. That is exactly where I wanted the show to end. They gave us a satisfying ending. They gave Johnny his redemption. He was able to fight and become the champion of his own story. And like, honestly, you give people a nice, enjoyable, happy ending in the end that just gives people hope and gives people, something like a vision of where things could go in the future for themselves. Like, if you ever thought of yourself as someone who was less than, or who wouldn't be able to, live up to a legacy and to be able to redeem yourself in the end, like, that's the message that I've wanted in some sort of way from this story, and they were able to pull that off, for Johnny. And it's almost as if they started off shaky with Johnny, like, oh, he was down on his luck, he was drunk, he didn't know what to do, he treated kids poorly, and he had no, central focus, and all of that mess that we see him in, and then ultimately seeing him how he ends up, is amazing. And I feel like that is another really strong, device that they were able to kind of Mod Podge together to ultimately give Johnny a satisfying ending. And I just absolutely love that. Now, you may be asking yourself, where do you see this show going? As in, do you see them ever coming back to the story, giving these characters new life, new, backgrounds, or expanding the story in some sort of way? And I honestly think that they could possibly do that. They could possibly take these stories of these characters and ultimately, in some way, catch up with them maybe 5, maybe even 10 years in the future. Or even, in my humble opinion, they could easily take the younger cast and just make a story around them into a movie, even if it's a movie that's only going to be on Netflix. But I still think that they could make a movie out of this. I as soon as this show ended, there was something that was playing on my mind. Like, okay, you could probably get Robbie and Eli, which aka is Hawk, and then you could also add in Miguel and have the 3 of these characters go on an adventure together. Like, okay, it's graduation, they're graduating, and these 3 characters are going cross country to see, their girlfriends. Like, that would be super cool to do, like a road trip film with these 3 characters, going and seeing their loved ones or seeing family, do it sort of like in a planes, trains, automobiles, or, in that sort of vein, do a movie like that. That would be really cool to see them. And obviously invite back the characters that we know and love and have this incredible opportunity be presented to them. I feel like that would be so cool. That would be an incredible opportunity for this show to, give these characters something fun to do. So yeah, that's probably where I would go. And whether or not they would come back for another season of this show 5 or 10 years down the line, I don't know. But that would be a really cool thing to revisit these characters at a later date. So I think this show ultimately does what it set out to do, which is to give new life to these classic characters. It reinvigorated people's want to go back and watch the Karate Kid movies. And it also becomes sort of like an essential viewing. After you finish watching all 3 of the Karate Kid films, you could easily step into this show and know that you're going to be getting an incredible ensemble of not only a cast, but also characters as well. And characters that you're going to want to see succeed and see them in some sort of way evolve down the line. And I think it succeeds in all those areas, even if earlier seasons were shakier than others. I do say this: if you just started watching Cobra Kai and you liked the first season and you are probably on the second season already, keep watching the show. Yeah, you're gonna have to sit through a few filler episodes, but in the end, I think that it does great by these characters. It does everything that it needed to finish off the story and leave you wanting more in the end. And I think that is exactly the sign that the series is a classic in and of itself. And I wanted to give this video a little add-on in terms of the homage that they pay to, Pat Morita, who obviously played Mr. Miyagi. I think they did such a great job, incorporating him into this show. I do believe, deep down, that if Pat Morita was still alive, he would have been an essential part of this show in every way. And I feel like deep down, this entire show as a whole pays homage to Pat Morita and Mr. Miyagi as a whole, not only with the ideologies that, Danny LaRusso tried to pass on, not only to, Johnny Lawrence, but to every single child that is on this show. And I think that it's a really great way of paying homage to him, paying homage to the character, and ultimately what that character means to not only just karate as a whole, but to pop culture. I mean, without Pat Morita, there would have not been Mr. Miyagi. And Mr. Miyagi nowadays is considered, one of the most iconic characters in pop culture. So I do think that this show pays great homages to him in many ways. Even if it's just a deep fake of him, they pay so much attention to the core value of that character on this show. Even in the final moments of this show, they pay homage to him as well, and I just absolutely love that. So like I say in all of my videos, that's just my opinion, and I want to hear from you. Did you watch Cobra Kai? Did you like Cobra Kai? Did you not like Cobra Kai? Do you think that the show just dragged on forever and just didn't want to finish watching the show? Are you someone who's picking up the show up again? Do you want to see more people watching this show? I mean, honestly, I recommend this show to anybody. Go sit down, watch the show. You're going to have to sit through a few filler episodes, like I said, but honestly, it's worth it. In the end, I feel like everybody is going to love how this show ends and just wants you to keep watching up until the point where you're going to want to, not stop, and you're going to binge this show forever. But then again, that was not entirely my case. I paced myself enough to have watched the show little by little, and I really did enjoy the show as a whole. And yeah, I want to hear more from you down in the comments below. And while you're down there, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when new videos go live on this channel. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video.
Scrolling through YouTube, same old routine, then bam, movie savant, what a scene. Trivia bombshells dropping knowledge like rain. Forget the dishes, gotta watch it again. Movie buffs unite, savants to place. Subscribe and hit the bell, don't leave a trace. Next level knowledge keeps you in the loop. Savant's got the scoop, ain't nothing to recoup.